Welcome to Tech Abilities, produced live in the Blind Abilities studio. I want to thank all of you for listening and for sending in your feedback. It's well appreciated. And if you want to send us some feedback, give us a call at 612-367-6093. Leave a message. We'd love to hear from you. Or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the tech tidbits and news that we cover in this episode. So without further ado, let's get this show started.
Somehow you use a music player to update your software.
I'm just not going to be an early adopter to it. I want a person behind the wheel of my vehicle.
And Google Docs has this built-in key command, and it will describe to you what the chart is and how much is in each pie slice and how much is in each bar. And it's kind of cool.
He's the technician that lost that rock, paper, scissors, right?
They want accessibility.
You're not going to keep in the toilet paper, Jeff, please. Okay.
I'm on the camp of self-driving car comes out, I'm totally getting one. I don't care how much it costs.
But if you're at Texas State University, now you have the opportunity to use NVDA.
Fast track. I could say it fast track because it sounds kind of cool.
Somebody on the podcast is younger than Serina. Yay!
Serina,
Jeffrey,
you ready?
I'm ready.
From the Blind Ability Studios, this is Tech Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson from Minnesota, and with me in the studio, we have Serina Gilbert from Colorado. Serina, welcome to the show.
Good morning, good evening, good day. Well, I don't know what day it is. Hi.
Well, I think you got the whole day covered right there.
We'll just go with hi.
Hi, Serina. And down there in Miami, Florida, where it's still hotter than hot, Callie Gray.
Hey, Jeff and crew. It's muggy Miami today. We had a high of 94, and I opened the door this morning to take out the trash, and I just couldn't. I couldn't.
You just left it right there.
You know, it's sitting by the door right now. I'm like, I'll take it out in the morning.
The rest of the way.
Yeah.
And with us today from St. Louis, Missouri, we have Seyoon Choi. How you doing?
Greetings. I'm well. I'm currently in I believe like an 83-degree room because the AC in my apartment is down, but I'm breathing. I'm alive. It feels awesome to be here.
Well, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit to the listeners since you're new to the show here?
Wow, am I really new? Well,
on this side of the microphone.
Hello, I'm Seyoon, and I'm finishing up my undergrad over at St. Louis University. I am studying social work. I am on an accelerator master's program to achieve both bachelor's and master's in 2 years. It's a fast track. I like to say a fast track because it sounds kind of cool. I do wear a couple different hats, though. One way that Jeff and I connected over was at a blind hockey event. So I do play blind ice hockey with St. Louis Blues blind hockey. I am a B2 defenseman. I'm a specialist over at Apple. That's Apple West County, which is a store about 20 minutes away. And I'm going to answer a couple of these questions because why not?
There you go.
Am I a PC or Mac user? I am definitely a Windows user. I'm just kidding. I'm a Mac user all the way.
Ooh.
And I am an iPhone user. If I said I'm using Android, I would kind of start to chuckle a little bit because I think both platforms are cool, but I'm an iPhone person. So yeah, glad to be here.
Now we know why Jeff invited you. He needed someone on his Mac side over there.
That's right. It's an even square. Even square.
Yeah, Serina and I both are using Windows computers for the podcast tonight. So.
Oh, and I'm also a long-term Blind Abilities listener. So now I get to be on the other side of the mic.
Yeah, when we met, I said I was from Minnesota, and he goes, do you know Jeff Thompson? And I'm standing there thinking, uh-oh, here goes. So I go, welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson.
That was his first introduction. I met him and like, I'm speaking to this guy I heard on my AirPods all day. Jeff Thompson.
Oh my gosh. So that's a true story?
That is a true story, cool. Indeed. I just got off of my skates. We were in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I believe we were at a reception. Mm-hmm. So all of us were done with our games and we were supposed to grab a cup of bite to eat. And
Pittsburgh was pretty cool. I liked it.
It was a really neat city.
So, Callie, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Did you get your Kim Kardashian Beats Fit Pros?
Not yet, but I am very intrigued by this concept. I like the colors that she has where they're more toned to your skin. There are 3 colors. There's
Neutral,
Moon,
yeah.
which is a light color. There's Dune, which is a medium color. And then there's Earth, which is a dark color. So they're just meant to blend in. Because you know how with the AirPod Pros and the AirPod 2s and the original AirPods, they're that stark white. I mean, they stand out. If you have vision, you can spot who's wearing AirPods a mile away because of the bright white color. So I kind of like this toned down, blend in aesthetic that she's brought to it. And on the Apple Store, they sold out, the day that they came out. And that's why I say, whatever the Kardashians touch, it turns to platinum. No matter how you feel about them, they are brilliant when it comes to business.
And they went on sale on Amazon today. I went there and I looked at them. I did not click on it because I don't think I have to, on my home games, match the color to my away games, be the fashionable guy on the team, But I could. But there they were, $199.
Yeah. So hopefully, later down the road, Apple would do that with their own branded AirPods.
I know Serina's waiting for something else, though.
I really, really, really want some AirPod Pro 2s. I don't even know if that's how you would say it, but I'm just waiting. We're about due because the first one's, gosh, it's been like probably 3 or 4 years, right, Jeff? I don't know. We might have to ask Seri or something when they came out.
I think they're coming out right after the AirPower.
Yes, don't jinx me like that. At least the AirPods came out at some point. The AirPower, I'm beginning to think you made that up in your mind one day.
Tim still has the prototype sitting on his desk going,
He's probably using it.
It works.
Only in secret.
Yeah. Spotify. They got some new deals. You can get 3 months free. Well, or for $9.99 if you've dissed them before, kind of like if you jumped ship before.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
It seemed like they're really competing with the $10 for Apple Music. Are you a Spotify listener, Seyoon?
I'll be honest, I had to try Spotify because back when I was in high school, 4 years ago, all my friends were using Spotify and they'd send me playlists on Spotify. So I was like, why not? So I signed up for a free version and realized that I couldn't skip more than like 5 or 6 tracks because of ads. So I got on the premium plan and I think it was 2020 when COVID shut everything down. I noticed that they started adding podcasts into it. And then now they're talking about adding audiobooks into it. And I realized, this app is doing a little too much. And I got kind of fed up with the layout and the design. So I went back to Apple Music because I was originally an Apple Music subscriber and realized, I have a Dolby Atmos support now. So that is pretty cool. I get to turn my head and listen to the singer's voice just kind of rotate with me. It's like, ooh, I just don't have a lossless audio on my overdue AirPods Pro.
There you go.
There's rumor that they're coming out. Who knows? I've been a Spotify user. I don't even know if people remember Rhapsody back in the day. I even had Beats back in the day. And I've settled on Apple Music because I have HomePods everywhere. And the struggle is real if you're trying to switch streaming services. Like I have massive playlists and curated stations and all kinds of stuff built into Apple Music. And I'm just too lazy, even if Spotify did have a better deal to switch. And we get Apple Music for free with our Verizon plan. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good reason to keep it right there. Yeah.
There was an app at one point called Song Shift where you could link Spotify and Apple Music accounts together, and it would basically convert all your playlists and your library and all that stuff for you. But I think both platforms basically shut them down. Basically, you can't switch between the two anymore.
Once you're here, you're here.
Yep.
Yeah, but the cool thing is, like, if I were to cancel Apple Music and go to Spotify, my Spotify playlist would still be there that I had curated when I last had Spotify. And if I were to come back to Apple, my Apple playlist would be there once I go back. Because I've gone back and forth between the two. Because like Seyoon says, most of my friends, even the people who have iPhones, they still use Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like when they share a song with me or a playlist with me, I'm like, gosh, darn it. It's on, it's on Spotify. But Apple is where I currently have landed. And I canceled my Spotify membership maybe 2 years ago. That was like the last time that I used Spotify. And I do find the Apple Music interface to be easier to use with VoiceOver.
It is way easier. Spotify has extra buttons for everything instead of using the actions kind of ability like Apple Music does. There's an extra button after every track, and it's just clunky.
Yeah, but I'm less likely to go back to Spotify now because I'm really building up my playlists on Apple Music now. So Serina gave me some good tips few episodes ago about doing that, how I can click like and add things to a playlist. And, so I'm kind of like invested now in Apple Music.
And like I said, they're trying to really do too much into one app because we have Apple Podcasts for podcasts. So I like having that, at least a separate app for all of those things. And now I think they're expanding their business to like audiobooks. So imagine having a music player and a podcast player, a music video player, and an audiobook player, I guess, in one app. That sounds just too clunky for me, at least.
Well, like you mentioned, them expanding into audiobooks, they just for 125 million or so, give or take a mil. Come on, Find a Way is a streaming service for audiobooks for people, kind of like an indie where you can publish your own audiobooks up there. And now they control that. So remember iTunes when everything was in there? Now they split it all up into music, podcasts, books.
I remember when we used to update our software for the phones on iTunes. That totally made sense, right?
Oh, yeah,
totally
you plug
made
it
sense.
into the
So
computer.
long ago.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Somehow you use a music player to update your software.
That feels so old now. And it was always, we love this word, Seyoon. You've heard it before, janky. I feel like iTunes, and even on the Mac, because I have used iTunes on the Mac. It's clunky on the Mac. It's clunky on the PC. It's a beast of a program that doesn't work very well.
You know what's very clunky on the Mac? Because I had to do this today, doing an update on your MacBook and getting into the App Store. Oh my gosh.
dear
I was
Lord.
like, oh my God, where am I? I just kept asking. I kept interacting with things. I'm like, where am I? I had like no clue. But eventually I finally found the button. I was like, oh dear God.
So on the Mac, you want to go to your F4 button, and that brings you to the Launchpad.
Launchpad, Safari.
Launchpad opens up to your most popular app icons. I'm going to go to the App Store, so I'm going to hit AP.
AP, insertion at end of text. At App Store.
Now what pops up when I hit AP is the first icon that starts with AP. So if you have other icons that start with AP and they're on page 2, that one will show up second. So it goes in the order that they are in relationship to where they're located in your Launchpad. So if you want the icons of the apps that you use most to pop up first, move them to the front page. Put them where you want them. So hit VO space and it takes you to the App Store.
Audio hijack. App Store. Discover collection.
Now you could hear that you landed on the Discover collection. That's where I don't want to be. That's where they're advertising all the apps that they think you may want to purchase or something. And then I'll do a VO left arrow. I land in the field table.
Field table. Discover. Selected.
So I'm on the Discover tab in the field table, and it says it was selected. So I'm going to interact with this table by doing a VO down arrow.
In field table. Discover. Selected.
And then I'm going to do a VO function shift with my left hand and a down arrow with my right hand, and it'll bring me all the way down to updates.
Select updates. Row 8.
Now I uninteract with this with a VO up arrow.
Out of field. Details collection.
And with the VO right arrow, I'm in the details collection.
In details collection. Updated recently section.
And if I had some updates that were waiting, that's where I would be landing. However, all my updates are done right now, so these are the recently updated apps. Just listen to where you land and interact, and you can dig in deeper, and you can back on out of it by uninteracting. And in there, you'll be able to find out which apps are updating, a little information about their update, what's new, stuff like that, and you'll be able to update each one individually if you choose so. However, a quick way to get all your updates updated real quick is doing a VO left arrow twice when you first come into the App Store, and you'll end up on the toolbar.
Toolbar.
Interact with the toolbar.
In toolbar. Updates.
With the VO right arrow, you'll go over to updates.
Updates.
And if you have some updates, it would say update all. And there you go.
I wish that interface would be redesigned and just made a better use with VoiceOver.
Well, you're going back and forth between PC and the Mac, right?
I am. And since I stopped my classes at the Miami Lighthouse, I still get on my PC because I really do like Excel, and I've created some things in Excel that I'm using. And I don't know how to use numbers on the MacBook, but I'm going to try to figure out how to use numbers because I really, for my own personal use case, I want it to be the MacBook. I really do, because everything just syncs in there and I can have it on my phone and everywhere. So I do like that. And to be honest, I don't trust Windows security. And the only reason I say that is that I get a lot of spam. And as a safeguard, and Seyoon, you can tell me if I'm just being ridiculous here. I will go to the junk mail on my iPhone and block it there and then delete it, put it in junk and then move it to trash and then empty the trash on my iPhone, just so I know it's not on the Windows computer. Because I just feel once something gets on a Windows computer, you can just get infected right then and there.
I hear you.
It creeps, it crawls.
I could be making that up, but that's how I feel about it. I just don't trust Windows security yet. And I just feel I could get hacked or get a worm or a virus.
How can it be insecure if it updates randomly whenever it wants?
That's right.
You ever have that happen? That's really weird.
I walked up to a library at my university. I got on the computer just to see what it was doing. I pointed my Seeing AI at it because I couldn't read the print. I just saw the blue screen and I thought there was just our mascot on the screen. To do the control delete, and you have to authenticate with our username and password like most enterprise. And it was saying updating Windows, please do not restart your PC or something. So, but that's chuckled. And I was like, I think students and staff come to the library to work, not to watch Windows update.
But if you're at Texas State University, now you have the opportunity to use NVDA. It's put out there. It's available for 38,000 students have access to it. So I suppose it's put on their computers. Now, earlier, Serina asked the question, well, do they have JAWS available to them? I'm not sure, but this is the first time that I've ever heard that a public entity or college bringing on NVDA as a package for all their students to be able to access. I think it's interesting. I think it's a big step for NVDA, and I think that Microsoft and Freedom Scientific has to recognize that they're not moving in on their territory, but in a way they are.
Yeah, my concern is, do they still have access to JAWS? Because I know a lot of people do use NVDA, and there's a lot of awesome features, but JAWS is definitely a more fully featured product, especially when you're looking at, writing academic papers and preparing PowerPoints and things like that. Like, they should have access to a fully featured screen reader. So I'm hoping that they didn't do this with NVDA, to cut costs, and it's maybe just being added in addition to access to JAWS.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, it was so interesting to me because last summer I had a part-time seasonal job with my school's disability office, and they were looking to adapt our testing center where students who uses an extended time or any sort of accommodations go to our testing center to take the test. And there are computers in the rooms and people could enable screen readers and stuff. And they used to put JAWS on it. And I introduced them to NVDA a little bit, and they got an NVDA installed on all of their computers. And
see what you started?
I suppose. And then now we're trying to decide. I think they're making a whole bunch of budget cuts in light of the pandemic, air quotes. And I don't know if they want to keep paying for a JAWS license. Supposedly the feedback they got was NVDA was, again, quote unquote, easier to operate for mouse users, which I'm like, well, screen readers are not necessarily intended to be operated with a mouse. Is it?
Yeah, it's interesting to see where this goes. And the iPad, going back to Apple, is going all the way around the moon coming up here to test Alexa. Now, I'm confused about that a little bit. I think Callie, you mentioned, didn't they trust Seri?
Apparently they don't trust Seri. So from what I was able to gather from the article, they want to be able to have the astronauts who are in the capsule to give voice commands, like check battery status or check water level. And it appears they're not trusting Seri to do that, because it might say, hold on a minute, I'm working on that. It might just do that. So it seems like they're trusting Alexa a tad bit more, but I just find it ironic that they're running Alexa on an Apple product instead of a Android tablet. So that's what made it interesting to me.
Part of the industry that's doing it, Amazon is working with them on that. So that's why they favored that. The thing that came out of this is the Orion that's going up there is going to be uncrewed. And I thought that word was really neat. It's like, wow, that I should put that on a t-shirt. Uncrewed.
Yeah, for the test runs to go to for the first test flights, yeah, this is going to be unmanned. I thought it was unmanned, but you said it said uncrewed.
Yeah, I actually cut and pasted that word, and I thought, that's my new word, uncrewed.
We are an uncrew. Like, remember, it's like 7-Up used to be the uncola. Okay, crickets. I'm the only one who remembers that commercial. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that. Is that about the time the Big Mac came out?
What
Oh
year was this? My goodness.
I was not born, for the record, when the Big Mac came out.
Me either.
Big Mac, Wikipedia. The Big Mac is a hamburger sold by the international fast food restaurant chain McDonald's. It was introduced in the greater Pittsburgh area in 1967.
I also read something about how AI is able to read graphs and charts. They're working on this for students. I've always had trouble with graphs and charts. Stuff in the margin of a book. Say, when you're in college right now and in your classes and there's graphs, charts. How do they do that today?
Oh gosh. I want to confidently say 3 semesters ago. For my major, I was supposed to choose a statistics class. There was a class that sounded pretty interesting. It was called Elementary Statistics with computers. Maybe because I was bought into the idea that we're going to use computers in class, and I thought that we're going to do the entire thing on a computer. And it was mostly true. And we did most of them on the computer. We used a statistical software. And the one that we used was called R. And I know there are a community of blind users that likely uses R a lot. I mean, I heard of different mailing lists. There's a R users group online on Google Groups. And so turns out the class wasn't using exactly the plain command line R, the boring one. They're using the fancy graphical software to generate graphs and charts. It was not accessible at all. So I'm over here using a command line R to crank all my stuff out and didn't line up with what the class was doing. So I know that was a definite struggle for me to get by that class.
My God, that sounds so frustrating.
Yeah. What's interesting is I've had to create like some, and this is nowhere near probably as fancy as what's probably in like a college level textbook, but I've had to create things where to make it more visually appealing in Google Docs. I've had to create like pie charts or column and bar charts and that sort of thing. And Google Docs has this built-in, I couldn't tell you the command now because it tells you what it is when you come across the chart. There's a key command and it will describe to you what the chart is and how much is in each pie slice and how much is in each bar and that sort of thing. It's kind of cool.
I don't know if any of you tried this out, but Apple also is expanding VoiceOver's ability to recognize graphs and charts. So a couple of examples that I played with that had accessible graphs was on the battery status. When you go into settings and battery and you go to the usage screen, I think it's like right below the battery health button, you could have the VoiceOver play a little audio graph. So I thought that was pretty cool, and they could also describe the trend in data series and stuff like that. So the typical statistics stuff being read out loud to you.
Let's go check out the audio graph. We'll go to settings,
Settings.
single finger double tap,
Settings.
down to battery,
Battery. Button. Low power mode. Off.
and then just below battery level, we'll swipe left to right one more time.
Battery level. Battery level 50%. 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
At this point, we can activate our rotor. You want to go to audio graph.
Audio graph.
And now by flicking up or down, you'll have a choice. You'll have these 3 choices.
Describe chart. Chart details. Play audio graph.
Now the reason I want to play this audio graph is because I let my phone go down to about 2%. And then I charged it all up. Well, not all the way. I charged it to 97%. Let's go into the audio graph. Single finger double tap. And here's the sound.
Complete.
And then if you want more data, you can go dig in. Just twist the rotor again
Audio graph.
and flick up or down.
Describe chart.
And by single finger swiping left to right, you can gather the data.
The x-axis is time. The y-axis is battery level. There is one data series.
Just twist the rotor again
Audio graph.
and flick up or down.
Chart details.
Single finger double tap.
Audio graph. Heading.
And by single finger swiping left to right, you can gather the data.
Features. Heading. The data follow an exponential curve. The data do not appear to be correlated. There are no outliers. Statistics. Heading. Minimum. 8 a.m. 2%. Maximum. 10 a.m. 97%. Mean battery level. 39%.
And now the next chart is your usage chart, and it'll show you how much usage you use per hour. Now, I'm not going to go through all the data, but here's the sound that it'll give you. It'll ping the time frames from left to right.
Play audio graph. Complete.
So remember, just below battery level, activate your rotor and go to audio graph.
And I saw that under, I think, weather app as well. Like when there was a chance of rain little graph. I don't know how to put it into plain sentences, but it was pretty cool to mess with that.
It is. I've seen a lot of graphs where they put a sonic. You can hear the pitches. They've even done stuff from NASA when they do pictures of the black hole was one of them, and they have the sound go from left to right and you hear these differences. I don't think it's a perfect world to interpret that just from the sound, but it's another vision, should I say, that they're trying to do, and they're using technology and a musician who's also a scientist to create the sounds. And I suppose once you've done it a while, you pick up more of it. It's kind of like when people use tactile pictures and stuff. I don't get into that much. It's a Thanksgiving dinner. Can't you tell? I don't know. I just got a lot of bumps. But so I think the sound thing is one thing, but I just like the idea that they're putting money into it. They're doing some studies to try and improve the situation that we have with graphs, especially in the educational setting.
I'm really excited to see what they can do. There is a lab at my school. The professor is super encouraging, super amazing. I know she does a lot of research into making like touchscreen graphs accessible, like messing with different sonic and verbal descriptions and how you could trace your finger on a line and use like vibrations to like basically map out the visuals. So just toying with kind of what it could do is pretty neat.
For ADA, there was a contest going on, and third place, they won $300,000. A group from Maine and a couple other colleges put together AVI, which is Autonomous Vehicle Assistant. And it's to ensure that when we have these fleets of cars come and pick us up, that a couple feet before you get in, where's the door handle? When you get out, where's the door? Plus, being able to operate the inner cabin is all part of the works of what they're trying to do. So it's kind of neat to see that, out of all the disability stuff that could win this stuff, third place was given to someone that did something for the visually impaired, especially with the autonomous vehicles, which to me is important because no one's going to be in that car. There's going to be no person to ask, where's the door? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I am curious because we've talked about this a little bit, and I can't remember, Callie, if we talked about it, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it as well, Seyoon. I'm on the camp of self-driving car comes out and they figure out this regulation stuff of do you need a license or not for it? I'm totally getting one. I don't care how much it costs. But my dad told me if they ever have a self-driving car, I'll buy you one. I'm going to hold him to it. But I'm curious.
Even my dad said the same thing. That's funny.
Yeah. See, yeah, I'm going to hold him to it. I'm going to, all right, you said it. You said it when I was 17, but I'm going to hold you to it. I don't care if I'm like 50 when it happens.
That's right. That's right.
I'm curious though, what camp are you all in? Is it like I would do it? Not a chance in heck. Where are you on it?
Well, I've said it in the previous podcast. I am not on board with this. I will not be an early adopter of the autonomous vehicles. I just think too many things can go wrong. The only way I think it could work if you took the human factor out of it. And since the human factor is still involved, because once autonomous vehicles become available to the blind and visually impaired computer, the majority of cars on the road and highway design is going to be for people who are actually driving, for humans who are actually driving the vehicles. And I think, that is going to be the biggest problem with that, because your smart vehicle may have all of these sensors and know what's going on and stuff like that. But, your random drunk driver, your person speeding or doing anything like that, I just don't think that's going to be, or just your careless driver. I just don't think I want to be in that situation.
Callie, I can see it now. You know how when they develop software, they say, build it with accessibility in mind. Now you're going to say, build those highways with autonomy in mind, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But you got to think it's got to change. I mean, the highway infrastructure has got to change.
We live in a sighted driver world, though.
Yeah. And most men I know, even, I know a couple of men who have Teslas. They enjoy driving their Teslas. I mean, having their hands on the steering wheel and putting the pedal to the metal and feeling that people like driving. Even when I drove, when I had Enrique Rojas and I had Red Fox, those are my two cars. They were both red. And yes, women do name their vehicles. So
they really do.
Yeah. And I loved the act of driving. I just really love that feeling, so I'm just not going to be an early adopter to it. I want a person behind the wheel of my vehicle.
I just had an interview with AJ Croce, Jim Croce. He was a singer. Mm-hmm. His son.
Time in a Bottle.
Oh,
Bad
operator.
Brown.
Yeah. So we did an interview with him. He's visually impaired, and he was actually blind from age 4 to 10, and he gained some sight back, and he still has no sight in one eye, and it's limited in the other unless he wears, all this stuff. But he has an autonomous car. Mm-hmm. They call it FAV, fully autonomous vehicle. He doesn't drive it, though.
Why not?
He doesn't have that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
What state does he live in? I'm curious because I know California, I think it's California and Arizona are kind of the two most progressive states on this as far as like testing and stuff. I didn't know you could buy a fully autonomous vehicle yet.
Don't hold me to that. He has an autonomous vehicle that will do the driving. So
interesting.
He doesn't want to go out and oops. So I'm in the camp that, I'll get in one. Instead of opening an Uber, let me help Callie out here. Uber is something you can flag down with your phone and they'll come and pick you up. She's
That's
never
right.
used one.
That's right.
I have used Uber.
Yes, she has. Don't you remember her motto? If I arrive alive, you
get a 5 if I arrive alive. Yeah.
Oh, but that's when you had sight.
Yeah, I was
sight.
low vision. I haven't used it since I lost my vision. I've been a paratransit or friend person, since I lost, my vision.
But these are going to be fleets that you order an Uber and here comes an autonomous vehicle that's right there. I'm all for it. I think it'll get acclimated in and some year, maybe 30 years down the road. I mean, what's the lifetime of a car? 8-10 years. So let's see these cycle out. Let's flush them out a little bit. And when we have more cars with autonomy built into them, I think we're going to slowly reach a point of, more security.
Well, 20, 30 years, I'll probably be dead. So, I don't think this is even going to be there for me. And like right now, the biggest problem that I have, and this is something so simple, but Serina, I know you have a family that has a vehicle, but Saturday, a friend came to pick me up and we were going out. And I became so frustrated. She was like, what's wrong? I was like, I was frustrated because I couldn't find the door handle to get into the vehicle.
Yep.
And that's something
frustrating.
That really frustrated me. And I'm like thinking, what is wrong with me? And she's like, okay, it's like right here. I'm going to come around. She's like, just go forward. I'm like, when I felt the mirror, I'm like, okay, I went too far. And then I came back and I found the door handle. But I just get frustrated with little things like that. And that's why I just don't know if I can handle like the autonomous car pulling up and me fumbling around trying to find out where the door handle is. And if I've gotten in on the right side of the vehicle, I just don't know. I just don't think I want to deal with that.
Wait till you try a Tesla. Their handles are flush.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we need the autonomous vehicle assistant.
That's right.
Seyoon, I'm curious because you're younger than us.
Somebody on the podcast is younger than Serina. Yeah,
oh,
I know.
Oh no. Oh no. The spotlight is on me. So Serina, it's so interesting that we were talking about this because I'm a big car person. As much as I cannot drive with like 1% of vision I got, but I always was very intrigued about different cars and not so much like how torquey the car is, but about the car technology. Mm-hmm. My family owns 2 cars, my parents at least do, and they recently got this Volvo. It's a crossover, and it has a huge 12-inch vertical center screen with it runs Android, and Volvo I think is named one of the safest cars out there in the market. Mm-hmm. And I've seen how both of their cars' safety systems have evolved so much. And to the point, I think these car companies are trying to outsmart the humans because I have seen those blind spot detection technology and stuff that are saving people's lives because they are stepping in place of human error. So like collision detection system, and I mean, they're not by all means perfect, but like they have the lane keeping assist and stuff like that. So when they are trying to veer out of lanes and stuff, the car would start correcting itself. So we're already living in this, like the machine is starting to take over half of driving for humans when in an event where a human makes a wrong judgment. Like I was in a car with them, and then a pedestrian who was like 4 foot tall, I think it was crossing, and the car was beeping, and I was already applying the brakes before my father ever did. So that was really cool to see. So I think eventually it will still take decades for us to have fully autonomous cars where a blind person can just hop on and just plug it away. It's like, hey Google, like take me to this place or X, Y, and Z, until the car starts steering itself with all that stuff. I think we still have a little while left, but it is a really cool development, and I'm all for adopting it because I know when I was 16 years old, I don't know about all of you, when my friends are getting all their licenses and then starting to drive their cars to school in the morning, I didn't want to be that senior riding school buses, you know?
Yep.
I'm like, I want
way.
that kind of autonomy. And my work to Apple store is about 20 minutes on the highway. And with transit, it's about an hour and 20 minutes away. I would love that kind of autonomy when I own a car. I could just hop on in and just take off. You don't have to call for a ride and stuff.
For me, you guys are probably going to laugh. It's as simple as I like to be in my car and jam out to music.
That
like,
too.
enjoy-
I was just thinking about
Serina.
that.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know.
I've never been able to
put
do
on
that.
makeup.
You know?
Yeah, because you're at the mercy of whoever is driving the vehicle, and they're in control of the radio. That's like the unwritten rule. Whereas the driver who controls the radio, and you're like, man, I'm not really liking this music right now.
Yeah.
And Seyoon, I just got to say, you mentioned something when you were talking. You said, you mentioned, okay, Google, take me so and so. How come you didn't say, okay, Apple Maps?
Is that a command? Is that a command? I don't think so.
I'm surprised you went, okay, Google, take me this way.
Well, the reason why I remember so much is because the Volvo I was talking about that they got like 3-4 months ago, that whole car, that whole dash is powered by Android. Like they have Google Maps and stuff built right in. Like I told Google to turn on heated seats and stuff. It was really cool.
Now that is really cool.
Oh, man.
And then I was telling Google to change radio stations, so I know how to hijack their radios now.
Oh,
That's awesome. I love that. I'll have to remember that.
If they're not turning down the AC for me, it's like, hey Google, to set the car temperature to 72, and then they would do it.
That's
and
awesome.
Then, what?
That is great.
It is a pretty fun feature to mess with.
Oh my gosh.
I was coming back from hockey, and it's about a 25-30 minute Uber trip. And it's always interesting because if you're car shopping, just get some Ubers or Lyfts and go for rides here and there because you get to really check out cars. And this driver was saying that he has autonomy all built in. And one of the things he really likes is if you're cruising down the freeway, he can set it to stay like 30 feet or whatever behind the car in front of him or whatever that safe distance is. It locks in on that car, and if that car slows down, his car slows down. So he'll maintain a distance away from that car at all times. So he's just flowing through traffic.
I think it's that piece of we're not going to make a fully self-driving car overnight. I think it's that they're still toying and experimenting with like these radar cruise control and stuff like that to eventually to work up to it, because I think all the regulatory agencies are saying like, oh, if you have X and Y and Z safety features on the car to where the car is starting to take over driving, I mean, it is safer for the drivers and the passengers.
It's weaning yourself into these devices and stuff like that. It's just going to take time. Like I remember when we first got a microwave, the whole family stood around it.
Really?
Did you get radiation poisoning?
You could put chips in there and put cheese and it'd come out. You had nachos, you know, it was
Oh my goodness.
that was,
I've never not had a microwave in my life.
yeah, I know. But when it first came out, you know, or a color TV, it was interesting.
Come on, color TV was around when you were born.
I
Jeff.
feel like
Come
you're
on,
acting like you're way
really,
older.
You're way over.
I'm talking about moments that changed things, you know, like from radio
I
to
will
TV.
say that we stood around the air fryer.
Oh, really? The air fryer?
Well, because it is kind of, I mean, it's fascinating that it comes out all crispy without grease. Like,
It is so fascinating.
and it tastes.
No, I've seen my air fryer
stuff
produce some
better
grease.
now.
I've seen my air fryer make.
Well, without having to put grease, like you're not dipping,
That
you're
is
not
true,
frying
yeah.
it in grease. That's what I mean.
That
Yeah,
is
it does
so
definitely,
funny.
That
depending
is
on
true.
what you're cooking, it does produce grease. Yes.
Where Chuck and Serena and Trey are all gathered around. Here's the family.
Well, it's just kind of cool. We're just like, this is.
No, I
mean,
think it's cute.
it's fascinating to me. I'm like, I got to see how this comes out. Like, we try all kinds of different stuff in there.
God, what was the last technology that fascinated me? I can't put my finger on it.
The iPhone.
At the age of 4, my favorite toy was putting in and ejecting VHS tapes.
Oh, really?
The family's video player.
Oh,
Did you rewind them for them too?
That's right. Yep. And then there was a button where you could like fast forward at double the speed and then go.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that is cool.
Gosh, technology.
Do you remember
That's right.
Beta? Beta didn't have a chance, did they? VHS won over. Do you remember the laser disc?
I do.
Those were ginormous.
Yeah. Yeah, I never had that.
There was also the battle between Blu-ray and HD DVD back in mid.
It was
2000s.
so short-lived.
Yeah,
It
it
was so
like-
short-lived.
It was
Blu-ray
so short-lived.
quick.
And Blu-ray was a big winner.
Because
of
when
course.
PlayStation partnered with it, like that was like
Yeah.
HD was dead
I
in
think
the
it was
water.
PS2, I think, and I know Toshiba.
Was it the
put
2 or
in-
the
I
3?
think
I don't even
2 or the
remember.
3s. I never
think it was
kept
the
up
3.
with consoles.
I think it was the 3.
I still have a white Nintendo Wii sitting in my entertainment cabinet that is not plugged in. That was a classic.
Yeah.
That
playing
got a lot
Wii
of. I loved
Sports.
that. That was the
I loved
last
it.
truly accessible
That's accessible console.
thing.
Because
Yeah.
I love Wii Sports. I could navigate the whole
can
menu
run
by
on it.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is we no longer available?
It's like 2 generations old because like so after the or is it 1? Now they're onto the Nintendo Switch. The Wii was right
Yeah.
before it. And the Switch has been out for a long time.
Okay.
It's at least I know almost 15, 16 years old.
When the iPod or like the first MP3s came out on the Diamond Rio, iRiver and stuff like that, the music industry was
Zune.
turned
Yeah.
upside down. It was like no more cassettes, no more 8-tracks, no more records, you know? Wow. That was a big change.
But I'm like tired of it because like I went from a Betamax to a VHS to a DVD, then to Blu-ray, and now I'm just streaming everything now.
It's all digital.
But you never had an HD DVD?
I never did the HD DVD. Well, like I said, I'm never a first adopter, so I just waited to see like where things were going to shake
What
out
happens?
between these
Yeah,
two
that's right.
between these two platforms here. And then I went with the Blu-ray. I loved it.
I think most people did
Yeah,
Blu-ray.
yeah, I loved it.
I think they were more widely available.
Yeah.
That too.
I finished the series of Ozarks, and they had great audio description. I tell you, 4 seasons, and now it's done.
Jeff, are you on the same podcast as us?
What are you talking about?
Well, we're talking about
That,
Blu-rays.
that shifted gears real fast.
that segue was like,
Like,
Speaking of watching movies on different type of
there you
things,
go.
I finished the series of Ozarks, and they had great audio description. I tell you, 4 seasons, and now it's done.
So did you enjoy Ozarks? I watched episode 1, season 1, and I was just not in the mood for something that dark yet.
I liked it because I got into it and it was just kind of my show. And then all of a sudden Lori started watching it with me. So, you know, it grew on her a little bit. But I think Netflix had really good audio description going there and it was accessible. I use Apple TV and that's where I get my Netflix through. And, you know, it seems seamless nowadays. And I think it's getting better. And I noticed that Amazon Prime now is more accessible on the Apple TV. Yeah,
Did they finally update the app? I know they were going to change
they
it.
just
'cause
did. I checked
I hated
it out.
that self-voicing thing that it was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was so awful.
It was so stark. You're like, what in the world?
Navigation not possible. Navigation not possible.
And you're like, this
wow.
isn't even the voice that I was using. Stop yelling
Yeah,
at me.
it was like a Samantha compact, and I use
Exactly.
Alex on my Apple TV.
I use Alex as well.
The thing I didn't like about it was in the menu, it says menu before everything. You can't just go down
That's
the menu.
annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
menu, menu, main menu or something like that.
I think it kept saying main menu, if I remember correctly. It was so bizarre.
Yeah, they still say menu though. And
Oh,
isn't Disney combining up or charging more money nowadays? And I think they went up at 30%.
I heard HBO Max and Discovery Plus are merging. That's
Yeah,
gonna be
that's
So
quite
gonna be
Disney
interesting.
next
has a
summer.
price hike, is what it is.
Disney is also price hiking, and so
Unless
did
you have
Netflix.
the bundle like I do.
Ooh, Disney
Well, or you
bundle.
can do like me and I just go in and out, depending upon what I want to watch. Like right now I have Hulu, but once Only Murders in the Building season ends, I'll cancel Hulu and I'll go to another streaming platform. I know I got to come back to Amazon Prime for Lord of the Rings, Power of the Ring. I have to come back for that. So, and I
I'm
did go back
surprised you're
to
not
Netflix.
into Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon.
I'm not interested in that. I did watch Game of Thrones, all the seasons, and I felt more compelled to watch Game of Thrones because everybody was talking about it. I wanted to be part of the cool kids, when they came back at the school the next day, so I could know what everybody was talking about. And there were some amazing episodes in Game of Thrones. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like anything, I'm okay. I'm not going to go any further with it, but I did finish The Sandman on Netflix, which was phenomenal. I'm actually going to rewatch The Sandman, all 10 episodes again.
I've not heard of that one. Is that a new series or?
Oh my God. No, it's based upon a Neil Gaiman comic that he wrote and started it in 1989. The Sandman is Dream, his siblings, he's got 7 of them. I can only remember names 6. There's Dream, Death, Desire, Despair, Destiny, and Delirium. So this first one was just all about Dream and how he got captured and he lost all of his relics that he needs and his going about obtaining them. And
Are you going to spoil the whole show for us?
no, I did not. I did not. But I was
wanted to avoid that show.
Really? Oh my God. It was amazing.
Audio described?
Yes. Yeah. If it doesn't
Do
have
you
audio
even have to
description.
ask on Netflix? Yeah.
Yeah. If it doesn't have audio description, I'm not even going to try, except for things that I'm familiar with, like Golden Girls and Mary Tyler, old
Stuff
shows
that
that I'm
doesn't
familiar
really
with.
need it as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but if it's something new, if it doesn't have audio description, I won't even put in the time.
Well, what was really interesting was that I think I was on Amazon Prime. They started adding audio descriptions on SpongeBob, which I grew up as a kid and didn't have audio descriptions or anything like that. And same thing with Big Bang Theory on HBO Max. Those started getting audio descriptions now. Big Bang Theory is pretty cool with audio descriptions because you realize some things that you missed. But SpongeBob, it didn't sit quite well with me because for one, it was text to speech, so it kind of killed the vibe. And for 2, it was just it seemed like it was kind of lazy description. It wasn't high quality audio description, but the one for Big Bang Theory is definitely worthy checking out if you got HBO Max.
Yeah, I love watching that. Well, I had Vision during the 12 seasons of Big Bang Theory, but I enjoy the audio description on HBO Max now. I mean, there's really nothing that I missed because I had sight when I saw it, but at least they're giving you all the details, the expressions from Sheldon and other things that are happening. It's really great.
Oh, yeah.
HBO has been really good about going to their back catalog. Not that Big Bang Theory is their own thing, but they're really making an effort to add description to their back catalog. I was super excited when The Wire got it because I can finally watch it and follow it because there's 150 people on that show. Sex and the City got audio description, Curb Your Enthusiasm. All these super classic shows have been getting the audio description treatment. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I just hope it carries over. And I know it doesn't happen until next summer when Discovery and HBO merge, because I've heard the Discovery app is trash when it comes to the audio description.
Yep.
But HBO Max has made so many strides in these past couple of years. So I just hope it stays.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they've really put some effort into making audio description worthy of having. And, like Seyoon said, quality audio description makes a big difference. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is I have Comcast, and it talks to you when you're going through, I don't know what you want to call that. Voice.
Guide,
voice
talking
guide.
guide
Yeah.
type thing.
You have the
Talking
voice
voice
guidance.
guidance.
Okay, so
kind
you're
of thing.
watching a show, right? You got your stereo theater speakers on, and all of a sudden you change the channels, and all of a sudden it's like, your channel is now, jeez.
It's so loud.
Can't we tweak that little voice in there somewhere?
You can't be discreet at all, can you, Jeff?
I hate
I had a very similar experience, except it was not Comcast.
DirecTV has the exact same problem. And it's
That's
a
right.
crappy voice on DirecTV. At least the Comcast voice is quality.
Yeah, the Comcast voice is quality. But there is a setting, Jeff, where you can adjust it between high, medium, and low for the voice.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can.
Oh,
On the set-top box?
I am 100% sure. It's in settings because you have the X1, right? Because when I had X1, I could do that.
He's going to go exploring now.
I'll be right back.
Yeah,
folks.
just go and explore.
You can't just leave us like that, Jeff.
I know. Jeff takes off the headset and goes away.
Okay, I'm back. I searched all the accessibility settings, audio description. I got X1 and, I found nothing. There's nothing there. Not a thing.
I think the DirecTV one had that adjustment too, but it was still very difficult to balance, because then you turn it to low or medium and then it's like too low and it's delayed and reads slow. It was not, I was so excited to have it on the DirecTV box and I never use it on it now because of how obnoxious it is.
Comcast has this one setting to remove loud noises, so you're not affected by them or something. And I did that one time and it worked out great for the voicing. And when you turn it back on, you really get these. Why have all this great sound for movies? And then you hit a thing that puts a dampener on it. It's like, no, I want all the sound I got. I just want to control that little voice in there, bring its neck a little bit once in a while.
So violent.
Well, you're watching it like it's 11:30 at night. And all of a sudden, you go change the channel. It's like CNN. Yeah.
Now you're wide awake.
Well, I had a very similar story. I don't get Comcast in Missouri, but my high-rise apartment is wired for Spectrum. And my apartment includes both internet and cable. They got me a box that was supposed to have voice guidance, but it didn't talk. Got it all hooked up. Did
you hook it up to your laptop? Because that was the workaround, apparently.
Uh-oh.
Maybe
I should have done that.
I know it sounds horrible, but I'm not joking. That was legitimately their workaround a long time ago.
Anyways, I got it all hooked up to my modem and it started getting signals. It was like they sent me a self-installation kit, which was not in Braille like I requested, but it's all right because my tech-savvy hand kind of got it working. Got it all hooked up. TV was playing, but no audio guidance. And I eventually called Spectrum support, I think. And then they were telling me go up 3 arrows down and 5 arrows to the right and you should see accessibility. And it's like, I don't see where it says accessibility at all. But anyways, they eventually sent out a technician, which is something that they seem like they try to avoid doing because of maybe staff shortage, maybe COVID. I don't know. There could be a multitude of reasons. But I got them to send me a tech, which is something I despise because I live without shoes in my apartment because it's just comfortable. But this guy just walked in with the muddy old shoes.
He's the technician that lost that rock, paper, scissors, right?
That's right. So anyways,
they want accessibility.
I think he bought in a box that didn't have audio voice guidance, and then I think we went through 3 different boxes until he found the one that had voice guidance, which had a Samantha on it. It was fine. It was insanely loud, and when they flipped channels, it would say Channel 6, PBS.
All super slow.
So long. And I had it for a couple months now, and I swear, it was a couple nights ago, I turned on my TV and I lost all of it. On the same box. I lost all of it. So I called Ira this time and I went through accessibility settings like I thought there was. And then they completely restructured the menu. So it was not there. And the audio guidance section was completely gone. So I'm like, you know what? You guys can have your box back. So I called Spectrum and I was like, and they're charging me $10 a month for this inaccessible piece of garbage.
And they're not supposed to be.
Yeah, they're charging me $10 for this inaccessible piece of garbage. So I called Spectrum. I was like, I think I'm going to send this box back if you guys are going to charge me $10 for a non-accessible box. And I said, that's fine. You could take it to the UPS store. And it's I'm like, how else can I watch TV? And it turns out I could just download Spectrum TV app on an app store from my Apple TV. And that's how I started watching my live TV. And the only reason why I'm keeping that Spectrum subscription alive is one, I'm already paying for it through my apartment as a part of a comprehensive utility package. And the other reason why I'm keeping that on is for the sports, because I got the Cardinals baseball right now and the Blues hockey.
I'm just glad that when you called them, they didn't tell you how to turn on closed captioning.
I know. I was like, oh, shoot, sigh of relief.
Wow.
They showed me how to turn on secondary audio programming.
Oh, really? So you get Spanish or?
No, I thought, yeah, I heard that.
That's where the audio description comes through.
Yeah. The audio description
Sometimes it's
is
Spanish though. I think it was on a sports channel. I think it was I was tuned into tennis
ESPN
channels,
does
yeah.
that. It's where it's Spanish on the secondary audio.
Yeah, my UHF channels, like if I watch Big Bang Theory on the CW channel 33, if SAP is turned on, it's in Spanish. There's no audio description.
Yeah, the CW doesn't carry audio description.
No. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's interesting though, because in some markets, people are reporting that when In the Dark was coming on the CW, that they were receiving some audio description, but it was spotty.
No, the CW here in Miami doesn't at all. Nothing on the CW here, at least locally.
My stepdad calls me up and he says, "How come the news is in Spanish today?"
That's way too much to try to explain to him.
My gosh.
I think there was a commercial with a dog barking a doorbell, and I think my guide dog heard a doorbell and barked once at the doorbell because that's one of his habits. I kind of like that he does that because it gives a sense of warning to guests or whoever's knocking at my door. It's like, hey, there is a dog present. Just be aware. You know?
Be aware.
But
Be aware
anyways,
of
he lets out a
dog.
one singular bark, but he only barks when there's a stranger, which is kind of interesting.
We had a cartoon called The Far Side, and there was this tree and a kid peeking around with a propeller on his hat, and the sign said, "Beware of Doug."
Doug.
Doug instead of dog. I thought it was cute.
I used to
That's
love to
cute.
get my Far Side calendar every year.
Oh, yeah.
I love those little things, you know.
He had this one of a ranch with the fences and stuff, and all these chickens are just slung over the fence, laying on the ground and all that, and the sign above the ranch said, "Boneless Chicken Farm."
That's funny.
And boneless chicken wings and stuff like I don't trust that. I'm sorry.
Really? They're just like nuggets.
I like
What-
my
No.
chicken wings with bone in.
They're just
I'm
chicken
sorry.
tenders.
I just enjoyed bone in.
There's just something not right about boneless chicken
There
wings.
is something so pleasing about ripping those like chicken meat out of a bone. I don't know. It's just so satisfying.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it into words.
Back with cavemen, troglodytes.
That's right.
Yeah.
You gotta enjoy the mess sometime.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Jeff, back when we were in Pittsburgh, I think they had like a cocktail shrimp with the little shrimp tails on it, so you had to like rip it off before you had to eat it.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Like Tim the Tool Man. Arr, arr.
Oh my goodness.
Tim the Tool Man. Oh gosh.
Like Home Improvement.
I used to love that show. It was so funny.
Wilson was my favorite.
I think
Oh,
Food
yeah,
Network is better in my opinion because you get to hear about
No.
food and cooking all the time.
We love, this is on Bravo, but we love watching Top Chef. Like that is like,
Oh yeah.
We love
Wilson,
Top
that
Chef.
was the neighbor. You only saw.
yes,
Yeah.
the neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
You only saw the top of his
Yeah.
face.
I think they showed his face.
Yep,
Someone
they
said
did.
4 times.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever showed his face.
No, they
You're gonna have to,
definitely
like,
showed
Google
it.
that.
They
You're gonna have to
definitely showed
Google
it.
that.
It might have been
Yeah.
towards the end.
Earl Hindman, who played Wilson, appeared in every season of the series, starting with the pilot in 1991 and ending with the final episode in 1999. While technically an episode, the final edition of Home Improvement was actually a behind-the-scenes special titled Backstage Pass that aired immediately after the final story-based episode. After a half-hour of cast interviews and tours of the studio, the cast all gets together for a final bow before the live audience. It is here, for the first time, that viewers got to see Wilson's face.
It's like Mrs. Wallowitz on Big Bang Theory. We never got to see Mrs. Wallowitz. Never.
See,
Not
that's
one
where
episode.
a good
that was
audio
here.
description would come in handy.
But she was never on screen, so there's never anything to describe about Mrs. Wallowitz because she never made anything.
And I also noticed that audio describers are very intentional about like the disclosure of names. If the character like already has a name like Bob or something, for example, like they will address the character by that name. But if we have a new character with undisclosed anonymous name, they'll just describe the appearance of the character, which I think is very like intuitive. Like it just
A
makes
man
sense.
with a beard approaches.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Seyoon, I do like some audio description quality control type stuff. I just started with new company, so I'm super excited.
Oh, very cool.
But it's because they want the experience to mirror that of the sighted audience.
And I think that's important, right?
Yeah.
Because I think as blind people, it's almost like watching it like a HD TV versus a 4K TV. Like there have been times I feel like when you enabled audio description track and then you're bumped down to stereo and everybody else is getting 5.1 surround, and I don't want that. And I know Apple TV Plus.
Oh, they do it really well.
They've been an exceptional job of maintaining audio quality. Like if a show is on Dolby Atmos and then you enable audio description, the audio description channel just comes in the center channel and you still have Dolby Atmos. And as an audio geek, I really do enjoy a nice spatial audio with Dolby Atmos setup. Usually just this pair of AirPods and you have nice spatial audio experience. Really like that you don't have to compromise either a quality audio description or a stereo track, and you can have both on.
I think I'm the only person on this panel where I have a 55-inch Samsung in my living room. I don't have a sound bar to it. So the only sound that I'm getting are through the built-in speakers on the television. And as we all know, flat panel television speakers are not, optimal or anything like that.
They have gotten better though.
So, Callie, does your TV sound like this, Callie?
My son got a TV for Christmas, but there was one day where like there was just loud music. I was like, what are you playing that on? He's like, my TV. It legitimately sounded like a sound system. I was shocked. And it's just an LG.
Yeah, I mean, the Samsung, it's fine. Like, I'm not an audiophile or anything like that. I did try pairing my AirPods with the television since I realized that I can do that. And something happened. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden the sound went away. It was not coming through my AirPods. And the screen read something about a JBL smart speaker, which I do not have. So I'm presuming
it was probably picking up
one of my neighbors.
What is that?
Usually a code you have to put in.
One of my neighbors got like voiceover coming through on their television. They were probably sitting there like, what the heck is going on here? Channel
6. Channel 6.
Whatever it was probably got returned as defective. Probably. So I have thought about getting a sound bar for the television, but I'm just not that into television. I either listen to it on my iPhone or on my iPad mini. That's generally how I listen to television.
I'm so spoiled.
And is it wrong for me to say listen to television? I'm sorry.
You're fine. I don't think so.
Okay.
For a while, I was really invested in Sonos systems, and I realized how much money I dropped, and I just recently sold them all off. I think I had a sub and a beam, and it was a really cool sound setup. It was awesome, but I realized that for a 600 square feet apartment that I live in with one bedroom, I didn't want that grand of audio equipment. So I switched back to my LG because I have a 55-inch TV with built-in speakers, and I read some specs about it online, and it's called like a CX or C10 or whatever. And supposedly it's a 2.2 channel, so there's speakers on the left and the right, and it goes through the entire length of the TV, width of the TV, I guess. Because it's sideways, and supposedly there are subwoofers inside of that thin little TV because it's an OLED TV, so it's like super thin at the top, and there's a bump and where it houses all the computers, I guess, for the TV. And I recently got to try this thing called like acoustic sound tuning or something. So my LG remote basically has a microphone and it's calibrating the speakers on the TV to the acoustics of my living room.
Oh, so is it giving those sounds like whoop, whoop?
That's super smart.
It was giving those like cuckoo clock noises.
Yeah.
So is it like mapping your room and just saying,
trying
to figure out how far the walls are away to optimize the sound? Is that what it's doing?
I think that was what it was trying to do, because it had me hold up the remote upright at an optimal viewing spot, which for me is the couch that's straight across the TV, and I held it up, and it had an audio guidance on it because LG TV runs WebOS, and that has really stellar accessibility. So I was tuning it, and then I heard a noticeable bass boost on my TV speaker. So I'm very pleased with LG. Is it still pretty shallow audio? Yeah, it is pretty shallow. I actually cranked it up. I was listening to an Apple Music while I was doing dishes on my Apple TV, and I cranked it up, and I think like a drum beat started like distorting, and it was like I could feel the plastic panel at the back of the TV like rattling because of how bassy the music was, and it could handle the volume. So eventually I might go with something a little bit cheaper, like maybe 2 HomePod minis below my TV, and then call that my TV speakers.
Call it a day. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an Onkyo stereo receiver, and I go into that mode, and I got to plug in the microphone, and then I have to set it in the most optimal spot. And all of a sudden, every speaker, 5 different speakers are going whoop, whoop, whoop. And it picks up all this sound, but it sets the balance left, right for that optimal spot. Then it has me move to the second optimal spot. And yeah, so it gives you room, it maps room out basically for the best sound.
Onkyo, I remember that. I had an Onkyo receiver because like back in the day before everything became like one product, I had the receiver, I had the cassette player, I had the CD player, and I had the turntable, and then you had like the big speakers also.
Tower speakers.
Fun times.
That could like shake the entire house.
It's like, and then you think about the sound quality that you get from like a portable Bose speaker or, the original HomePod. And you're like, wow, you had like all this other equipment. And like now
I miss the OG HomePod. I really do.
I have one still.
I really do.
I don't know why they I think that they just weren't patient enough with it because it's amazing.
I think so. It really did sound great. I think I tried it for like 6 or 7 days and I returned it because I realized it's like,
you're why.
I'm like, I returned it and now it's gone. And I'll never be able to find one again.
Serina's going to spank you with a wet noodle, man, because you ruined her.
Oh.
Ironically, I did briefly consider returning it, and I don't remember why.
Really? You love it.
I think it was. I do love it. I absolutely love it. I can't believe I ever considered returning it.
Yeah, I returned the AirPod Max Pros.
Those AirPod Maxes were horrible.
But because you have a tiny head, Serina, that's why it didn't work for you.
Jeff's head's bigger than mine, and even he thought they were uncomfortable. They're heavy, in my
It
opinion.
was like I was in another world, and everyone else was elsewhere.
It was weird, and they look goofy. Let's be honest.
But I have to admit, once you're in the ecosystem of the Apple stuff with the music and the sound and how you interact with it and everything like that, it's awesome.
They sounded amazing. They were just goofy looking.
I got to try it when I was on a break and I got on the floor at the Apple store and I went over to our music bay, which houses all our AirPods Pros, the 3s and the 2s, and we have 2 pairs of AirPod Maxes next to it. There's space gray and silver. And I put them on and I was like, oh, wow, sounds so good right now.
How'd they feel on your head, though? What did you think?
It was definitely heavy. I had a pair of Sony XM4s, I think.
That's what I got right now.
Yeah, those are some of the, I think, stellar like noise canceling can or something like that. So it was supposed to be really good. But man, the Maxes, I'm fully convinced. I just don't like the concept of downloading an app to manage my headphones on my phone. I just like how it integrates the AirPods family of products just integrates so well into the ecosystem, like auto switching device, auto device switching, and the transparency mode is really what got me, because the XM4s have this really synthetic transparency mode that doesn't sound like very real. Now it does have the touchpad, I think, on the right side where I like cup my palm and then it pumps all the ambient noise. It's really cool, but I don't think it just beats the AirPods transparency mode. I feel like with AirPods I just feel like I'm not wearing anything.
My XM4s are only a month old here and I got them at half price, so that was really good. I don't know about the ambience, and I had to turn off the chat to speak thing.
Oh, that one was so annoying because it kept interrupting.
Yeah, any abrupt noise, it's like, whoa, just shuts it off. Because say you're on a bus, say you're
it was
talking
too sensitive
to
for me. I toyed with it for a little bit and I realized, like, I don't know why my voiceover stopped talking. Is my headphones like broken? And it was just speak to tap chat thing.
You also have to tap sometimes on the right hand side, so it's a little different. But there, I'm working with Apple products where Apple builds their products to work with each other so much better than these. But I'm using them right now with a hardwire for this one just because I think they don't leak noise as much as my other headphones, so I want to try it. I did like the bass boost.
I feel super awkward wearing one of those and talking because I can never hear myself, and I hate hearing my own voice. That just bothered me so much about not being able to hear my own voice when I talk.
You don't like to hear your own voice?
I like to hear my own voice when I talk.
You like to hear your voice?
I can hear myself, so I know if I'm like not yelling across the room or something like that when I'm talking, or yelling into the microphone, because I feel like with any of those I think they're called like closed back headphones, where it completely seals up your ears, and I'm talking into the mic. I feel like I'm talking like twice as loud just so I feel like I'm talking to myself. It just felt really weird to me.
I always lift one ear off just a little bit, just to, like in this situation, so I can actually monitor that a little bit. Otherwise, you get lost. You're talking
lost in space.
You're like yelling like the voice on my Comcast. Maybe that's wearing noise cancellation headphones or something when they did that.
Can I tell you my blind girl moments I have with my earphones? I still have the old wired earbuds with the little clip on the right hand where you can turn the audio up, down, answer a phone call. I'm
literally using a pair of those right now.
I love them.
Oh, I miss those. I'm also using an earpod. I think it was what it's called.
Earpods.
Yeah, they're earpods.
Yeah. So I kept those, and I was listening to, I was on my phone, and I don't know what I did. I plugged it in, voiceover was talking, and then I plugged in the wired earbuds. And then all of a sudden, voiceover wasn't speaking. I could feel the vibrations because I do have it turned on, and I could feel the haptics as I was going around. Like, what the heck is going on? And then I unplugged the earbuds, and voiceover was working again. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I turned the phone off, rebooted it, and did all of that. And voiceover came back and it was on. I plugged in the earbuds and nothing. All I could feel was the haptics.
Oh, no.
I did not realize I had the audio turned all the way down. I'm sitting there. I'm like, what is going on? I was like so frustrated. And then oh gosh, Callie, you had the audio turned all the way down. That's why you weren't hearing voiceover anymore. So it's like little things like that, like bug me. And like another thing, have you guys ever had your smoke detectors go off in your home? I mean,
way
the alert.
too many times.
The alert
when the battery is low.
Oh yeah.
Like super annoying.
It always happens at like 2:30 in the morning. Or
it's always the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's always in the middle. So that was happening. So I was like asleep and I hear it. I'm like, oh God. And because I thought the guy had
figure out which one it is.
Yeah. I only have two. So it's not like a big process because there's one outside of my master bedroom. So I go out, I open the master bedroom door and I stand outside and I wait and I listen. I'm like, okay, it's not that one. Then I go over to the office/second bedroom where the other one is. And I'm standing over. It's like, not that one. I'm like, what is the sound? And then I'm walking all around my little apartment and I finally realized the refrigerator door was ajar. And it was beeping. I'm like, I didn't even know I had that feature on my refrigerator that would do that. And I was like, oh, it's kind of warm. And then I heard the tone. I'm like, so this is it. So it's like, oh my gosh, that's another one of my blind girl moments. So I had two since the last time we talked.
I remember the first set of Bluetooth headphones I got, one of the first sets. Do you remember the Beats? They might have been similar to the Flex. I forgot what they were called, but they were.
Was it Beats X? Because I think I had one of those.
It was the Beats X.
Because they rested on your neck and then you had these little controls and then you had
They worked really, really well.
Oh, they were amazing.
But they turned on by themselves at some point because, I think that one, it wasn't like the AirPods where you put them in your ear and they connect. You had to actually turn the power on and off. Mm-hmm. And they turned on by themselves somehow in my purse because I think I just balled them up and threw them in there. They were pretty they were super flexible.
They're very flexible.
And then my phone was not working right. I told Charles, I was like, I think my phone's broken. I'm going to have to take it in somewhere. And then all of a sudden I hear this, tiny little robot voice coming from my purse. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to make it was that they had turned on. And, visually you'd be able to see that it says because there's a little icon that, that there's headphones connected. But if you don't have voiceover, so that was fun.
Yeah. So the audio had routed to those headphones.
Because they were on.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh.
My AirPod Pros, I keep on thinking I'm going to say it wrong. We've been talking about earbuds.
You said it right.
AirPod Pros. You take them out sometimes because you're doing something. And so you set them on your desk and it's fine. Then all of a sudden they connect up again because you didn't put them in the case. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there like, Callie, you're playing with your phone and it's like, what's wrong?
Yeah. Where did voiceover go?
Then finally, it's like that little robot voice, like you said, Serena. It's like, oh crap!
It's very faint too. You can kind of hear it, but it's like, I don't know. That's the best representation of what I heard. Well, I also had a very, very comically awful blind person experience. I was helping a customer who got checked in at the Apple store to work with me. I got on the queue on my device and then I started a session to work with a customer who was using a hearing aid that was like Bluetooth connected, and I had to run some tests to check on the trade-in value. So I was running some trade-in tests, and I had to turn on voiceover to go to settings in general and about, and you could usually tell 95% of those phones have Seri on. So I usually, they usually hand their phone over, so I get to what I need to do, and then I turned on voiceover, and I was like, I can feel the haptic bump, and I have very little vision, and then I could kind of see like the screen. Like they had like a pop-up on it. Usually when you turn on voices, like voiceover wants to send you notifications or whatever. And then on a home buttonless iPhone, it tells you like to go home, swipe up, whatever, the little boxes. And I was on that screen and I was like, why is there no voiceover? And I keep cranking it up, and my customer goes like, I hear this robotic voice on my ear. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to check the speaker? Would you like me to disconnect my hearing aid? And then I turned to her like, oh ma'am, I am so sorry. I'm blind.
Oh my god!
And I had to turn on this screen reader. It's called VoiceOver. Usually that's when I take the time to pause. Like, hey, I see that you're using a hearing aid with our products, and then I'm really happy that you discovered that you could use that feature. And I also kind of turned around. I was like, I'm so sorry that blasted into your hearing aid.
Oh man!
Your Bluetooth
He's probably
hearing aid.
yelling at you. You're louder than Comcast.
Quite an awkward experience.
Oh my god!
That's one of many experiences, guys. I have so many more.
Oh my god!
We're gonna have to make this a segment of the show.
Blind people's problems.
Yeah. I think it's more like a first world problem. Blindies.
Yeah, the stuff we have to deal with. So we should wrap this one up.
Did we hit everything?
Yeah.
I think we hit everything.
Not even close.
I think we did, Serena.
We didn't get the American Express card or whatever the hiring MasterCard,
and their hiring practice.
Oh, the
recruitment, yeah.
That's the only one we missed, so that's fine.
Or Callie's $28 toilet paper.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
Oh my god!
That was a whole thread yesterday.
It's nothing gross or anything. Just so it was just like the fact that 12 rolls of toilet paper cost $28.
So I threw up a comparison. Mine was like extra strong grit toilet paper. So I quickly threw up another one. And then
Kelly's like, I'm an extra soft girl. Thank you.
Mine is like tar.
How they say like old people, advertisers don't try to appeal to old people because they're brand loyal. I'm a Charmin girl. I'm like you.
We exclusively use Charmin. During the pandemic, Charles had to get like Cottonelle or something. And I was like, what is this? There's still a whole box of Cottonelle in our garage.
Yeah, you got to save
our
it
emergency toilet paper.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't with this. No.
I won't lie. Some toilet papers are garbage. Like they're like paper thin. I feel like I could just like touch it and then they would just rip right
dissolved.
through.
Yeah.
It just dissolves.
Yeah. And some of it's so rough. It's like, wood chips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like sandpaper.
Yeah, it feels like those old paper towels you pull out at a gas station.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I can just imagine Chuck walking in with that foreign toilet paper and Serina's look. He probably took a step forward, then 3 steps back. Brought it out to the garage.
Okay, you guys got to remember 2020. I think spring 2020. Mm-hmm. Charles was like, I got some toilet paper. Like it was like you scored.
Yeah. It was like hitting the lottery, man.
So people who shop at Costco will relate to this. So Costco has their own brand of paper towels, toilet paper, like all kinds of stuff called Kirkland.
Oh, I love Costco products.
Their Kirkland paper towels are amazing. They're better than Bounty.
Oh.
Toilet paper, not so much. Mm-hmm. So once Charles bought the toilet paper and I was like, what is this crap? Like, this is not like, it took so long for us to use all that.
I'm all for Bounty products except for toilet papers. I'm sorry. I can't.
You can't watch the air fryer with us tonight, Chuck.
He comes up every podcast and he listens to every single episode.
Aww.
I love the loyalty. It kind of reminds me of me.
And in the thread I sent you guys today, my friend's post about a guy who worked for the toilet paper company in the Netherlands. And like he said, there are 3 toilet paper users: bunchers, folders and wrappers. And I said, I'm a folder because the folder uses less toilet paper.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm all of them.
They love
honestly.
bunchers because, they use the most toilet paper.
I think I might be a buncher.
You are? You just like bunch it and oh my God. No, I fold. Especially after like the pandemic, because she mailed that out at the height of the pandemic. I'm like, okay, I need to make these 48 rolls. I was able to score last.
That reminds me of a meme. I'm always talking about memes, sorry. Where it was like, before the pandemic, yeah, he thought, Jeff thought it was mine.
Yeah, no Frenchie with the striped shirt. Yeah.
Striped. But it was like pre-pandemic. I would just be rolling the toilet paper like I was trying to play on Wheel of Fortune. Now I do it like I'm trying to crack a safe.
You're very careful about it. Oh my gosh. You're not going to keep in the toilet paper, Jeff, please. Okay.
You always say that, and then he does.
Yeah.
I think we'll just throw it in a toilet flush and be done.
Every time you're like, don't keep this in, Jeff, what does he do?
You're not done with the podcast until the paperwork is done.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
You gonna throw it in the circular folder?
Yeah.
We're in for a treat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then cue our funky music, right?
And for more podcasts with the blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities, and give us a call at 612-367-6093. Leave us a message and let us know if we can put your voice on the next podcast. Drop us an email at info@blindabilities.com and download the free Blind Abilities app from the App Store and Google Play Store. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities. And from all of us here at Blind Abilities, through these challenging times, to you, your family, and friends, stay well, stay informed, and stay strong. I want to thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see through
each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap
between the limited expectations and the reality of blind abilities.
and the realities of blind abilities.